mystery, things of the unknown, the future of Elestrals. Hello everyone, my name's Anthony and welcome to Nexus Elestrals. Over the past couple of days, I've really been diving deep and thinking about the future of this awesome TCG. Things like Shattered Stars, upcoming sets, but something that just can't escape my mind is the idea of the two missing elements which are represented on the Elestrals logo but haven't been referenced, haven't been talked about, and have never been actually shown to us. In today's video, I'm going to be walking you through my personal theories and ideas when it comes to these mysterious elements and what I think is going to happen with them in the future. Let's get into the video. Now, before we start theorizing about the two missing elements, we need to first understand the elements that are currently at our disposal and how they kind of work together and the role they play within this TCG. Let's start off with Earth. Earth is all about brute force. Take Earthquake, for example. It targets and destroys an Elestral. It doesn't send it back to the hand, it doesn't just remove a couple spirits, it sends that thing to the underworld so it's now fully out of play. Same thing kind of with Thunder, but it's a bit more of a nuisance. Thunder is there isn't really one main thing that Thunder does, but overall it becomes a nuisance if you don't take care of them as you play the game. Racerus, if you don't attach a Thunder Spirit to an Elestral that you just placed down, it can't move for a turn. Thunderstorm destroys your opponent's runes. Signetric allows you to get runes. Just overall, if you don't take care of it, it can become very annoying, and very suddenly, the person you're playing against, oh god, you don't want to play against them ever again. Water, on the other hand, though, is more to weaken your opponent and make your guys stronger. Take Tsunami, for example. It turns all Elestrals in play to the defensive position, unless it's a water, of course, but most of the time it will change your opponent's position. When Veritaqua comes in, he instantly destroys any type of defensive Elestral. You can kind of see how you're weakening and then attacking. With Wind, all you're doing with Wind is pushing things back. It is once again a nuisance. If somebody places something down, oh, Tornado, that's back in your hand. You can kind of get how that works. And with Fire, it is just burning through your Spirit deck instead of directly on Elestrals. Take Eruption, for example. When you use it, you can burn through somebody's Spirit deck. And even with Frost, which hasn't been fully released yet, we have an idea of the role they play. And for example, it is about freezing your opponents and prolonging the battle. Take Bob, for example. When he's in play, you can target 2 runes that can't be used until he's defeated. All of these elements work together and make this TCG great, but separately, they have their own kind of role to play. And this is going to really help us when theorizing about the two mysterious elements. With all that background stuff out of the way, we can finally start to theorize about the two missing elements. But I could talk about these things forever, so I've narrowed it down to 4 main predictions I will make for each of the elements in the video. Number 1, what god is going to be associated with the elements? So far, each element, minus Frost, has a god with it. Earth has Demeter, Fire has Hephaestus, Thunder has Zeus, so on and so forth. So with these 2 new elements, I think I have an idea of who will represent them. Second thing, I want to come up with what these are going to be named, because so far I've been pretty wrong with it, thinking Earth was grass, Thunder was lightning, etc. So I'm hoping I get these 2 right. Third, I want to predict what set these are going to be released in, because so far we know set 2 is going to be all about Frost, but other than that, we don't know much about it. And fourth, and probably the most important piece, I want to predict what the role these elements are going to play within the TCG, kind of like I explained for the previous elements in the last segment. But with all of that in mind, let's get into my Elestrals theory, I guess. With that disclaimer out of the way, let's get into my first prediction, who the divine runes are going to be, or the gods for each of the new elements. So on screen now is a picture of what the element's rune kind of looks like. One looks like a sun, the other one looks like a moon. So I took those and I kind of ran with it. Let's start off with the easiest one, which is this sun looking thing. And now this was the easiest thing for me to predict, not only because there's a lot online about it, but also because my prediction is already incorporated in the Elestrals universe. The sun god, or the person I think is going to be the divine rune for this sun looking element, is Helios. Not only within Greek mythology, which we know is what Elestrals is based off of, he is the god of the sun, but there's already a card in the Elestrals TCG that references Helios in Helios's chariot ride. So if it's already incorporated, we know he's the god of sun, and there's a sun looking element, why not make him the divine rune? Now, the opposite side of things is this moon looking element. And the reason is because online there's not only a lot of conflicting views about the moon god, but I haven't been able to find really any kind of hints or theories or little puzzle pieces to map in a moon god into the world of Elestrals, unlike Helios with Helios's chariot ride. But after a lot of thinking and a lot of information, I've come down to that Selene is going to be the god or the divine rune for this moon looking element. Now, I'm probably butchering the name. Helios was a bit easier to pronounce, but she also goes by Cynthia and was known as the personification, or the Greek personification, of the moon itself. So I could see that kind of be working in. And we only have one female god already, so unless Frost is another female god, we need to kind of even out the playing field of male to female ratio. The next thing that I wanted to identify / predict was the exact names of these upcoming mystery elements, and is where I had the most trouble, because not only do the Elestral cards not give me much to go off of, but online when I searched up these keywords in relation to Greek mythology, all I was getting were names of gods, and if there's a divine rune named after it, the element isn't going to be named after it. So I kinda had to turn to science and take a shot in the dark. So for example, this sun looking element I predict will be named solar. And the reason is the scientific name for the sun is Sol. So solar works out. The same thing with the moon. I turned to science, and the scientific name for a moon is Luna, so lunar works out. And I really kind of, and again, this is grasping at straws, I looked at the previous elements and they're a bit more scientific than games like Pokemon. In Pokemon, you have grass, lightning, things like that. In Elestrals, you have earth, you have thunder, and you even have frost instead of Pokemon's ice. So a bit more scientific, but again, this is really just going off of my personal opinion, what I think will work, and some basic science off the internet. A-Drive is a businessman, so when it came to predicting what sets these two mystery elements were going to be released in, I had a pretty good idea, and sadly, I think it's going to be fairly far out. We know that this next upcoming set is going to be a reprint of the Founders Edition set, just with better quality and a different stamp, and we know that the second set is going to be everything to do with Frost. Now, A-Drive is really good at generating hype and keeping people's attention at an all-time high. So I think releasing these two new elements in set 3 and 4 would be a bit of a disadvantage, as there's nothing new to release later down the line unless they make newer elements, which could complicate things a lot. So I think that it is going to be set 4, 5, or even 6 where these new elements are going to be released. And I know this is a bit of a crazy prediction, but I think that they will be released together instead of separate. With set 2, only Frost is being released. So many people think, okay, so only this lunar is going to be released, only this solar is going to be released, so on and so forth. But because light and dark, lunar and solar kind of work hand in hand, I have an idea that I think they will be packaged together in a set, and that could even push it out later at maybe set 7 or 8. But again, A-Drive is really good at marketing, and I feel like whatever he does will bring in the most revenue and generate the most hype. And like that, we're at the fun part, the meat and potatoes of this whole theory video. What role will these new elements play within the Elestral's TCG? Now, from knowing Frost, we know that that new element introduced a new game mechanic, which is freezing. Like I said, through Bob, you can freeze 2 runes, and until Bob is defeated, those cannot be used. So it introduced that game mechanic. And I feel like the same thing's going to happen with Lunar and Solar, simply because A-Drive wants to add more strategy, add another layer of gameplay, and increase the skill cap. So, my prediction is that Lunar and Solar Elestrals are going to be used as more of a support. For example, Lunar, we know that the sun is an amazing thing. It produces so much energy, not only keeping us warm, but sometimes powering most of our utilities through things like solar power. So I feel like their Elestrals and runes are going to do the same within the TCG, increasing our Elestrals' attack power. So that could be a rune that increases the attack skill points that a card has, or increases an ability that has offensive potential. And I feel like the opposite thing is going to happen with Lunar, where it's going to increase the defensive abilities. If that be with runes that kind of act as a shield, so if an Elestral's hit, it kind of takes out the shield before it takes out the Elestral. If it be through Elestrals that can actually increase the defense of themselves, or even increase the defense of other Elestrals, I think it could add another layer to the Elestral's TCG and make sense with the element they represent. I could also see them, if they really wanted to go crazy, using these offensive capabilities and defensive capabilities to go over the skill point cap. So far, the max an Elestral can have is 15 attack and 15 defense. But if these are used as support Elestrals, I could see them breaking that 15 skill cap barrier and going upwards of 20 or even 25, adding strategy even more than there already is. Holy guacamole, that was a lot of theorizing in such a short amount of time. Again, remember, these are all theories. I really kind of just put together things in my own brain with some information online, some card effects, some card lore, things like that. None of this has been confirmed. We don't even know what these 2 elements are from the official Elestrals channel themselves, so don't take what I said seriously. If you want to really get into it and have fun with this theory or add on to it, please comment this down below, but don't go sharing this around being like, oh my god, the 2 new elements were confirmed. Hopefully I confirmed them and my predictions are correct, but none of this is actually confirmed by the Elestrals team themselves, let alone I don't even have any means to talk to the Elestrals team, so I don't know any inside information or scoops. So, with all that being said though, if you would like to see more of my videos, a bunch are posted on my YouTube channel, but if you want to see more in the future, hitting the subscribe button and the like button does a lot. It's not required, but it's always enjoyed. And that's that. This is Anthony, nexusing off the video. I'm glad you enjoyed the theory, and I hope you continue theorizing on from kind of my little starting point, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.